People are stressed, people are anxious. We live in a hard world now. And then you have all that coupled with prescription drugs. They're losing their minds. They're not healthy. So we have to figure out how to look at mind, body, and spirit.
Sean Fetcho has been involved in the world of medicine for almost 2 decades, delivering value to the medical community by creating, launching, and developing publications, including Pain Week, Oncology and Biotech News, and Contemporary Oncology. All of these publications are still in circulation today. Sean is the co-founder and CEO of Versea Health, and he is on a mission to have everyone take control of their health through a proactive approach, a preventive approach, and now a precision and personalized approach.
Regenerative medicine, stem cells, exosomes, with no side effects, are not getting cleared through the FDA. It makes no sense at all. So let me give you an example.
Hi, my name is Chris Burris. I'm a longevity expert and the chief scientist at a lab focused on a longevity molecule. My primary focus is to help people live longer and better lives with science. Make sure to subscribe and share so you and your friends can live longer and better. Well, actually, so you and your friends can live beyond the norms.
Welcome to the Live Beyond the Norms Health and Longevity podcast. If you listen to this podcast, you know I love to talk with board-certified physicians. You may not know that I also love to talk with entrepreneurs, the ones often behind the health and longevity scenes, the ones who often have their own money vested in the technologies, the ones who literally put their money where their mouth is. Our guest, Sean Fetcho, is such a guest. To be honest, Sean was not on my radar until we ended up on a phone call to discuss a particular project with our molecule, ESS60, and a mitochondrial test his company, MeScreen, is bringing to market. In that call, I got a sense of 2 things. 1, Sean is extremely passionate about what he does. And 2, Sean is a wealth of knowledge regarding the future of medicine. Sean has been involved in the world of medicine for almost 2 decades, delivering value to the medical community by creating, launching, and developing publications, including Pain Week, Oncology and Biotech News, and Contemporary Oncology, and many more. All of these publications are still in circulation today. At one point, Sean led the development of a continuing medical education company. This is the type of company that medical physicians turn to when they want to meet their yearly continuing education requirements, quite literally keeping the medical community up to date. Sean is the co-founder and CEO of Versea Health, and he is on a mission to have everyone take control of their health through a proactive approach, a preventive approach, and now a precision and personalized approach. Sean, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. So I looked at your LinkedIn profile, and what you have accomplished in your career seems like you were destined to be an entrepreneur. I like it to get a kind of personal background on you. What about growing up supports this journey, and when and why did you decide to become an entrepreneur?
That's a great question. So I think some people just have it in them and some don't. You have to be willing to take risk. And I've always been a risk taker ever since a young kid. And so I come from a family of business owners as well. My siblings are, my father was, and I just wanted to always be in control of my destiny and have a work-life balance. I'm a huge traveler, so I always wanted to be able to be in control of my schedule. And the only way to do that is to have the right work ethic. And an entrepreneur has a different mentality. You have to be able to put it all on the table every single time. And I've been doing that my whole life. So, yeah.
And you said your dad was an entrepreneur. What kind of business was he in?
Home healthcare and independent pharmacies.
Okay, so even in the medical community, that's probably going to be a big answer to my next question. You started in finance, spending a little time as an assistant stockbroker and some time as a mortgage consultant, which provides you with a great skill set for running a business and investing in businesses. But then you headed straight down a strong path, almost always related to medicine. Was that because kind of your dad's exposure, or was there something that steered you that direction?
Yeah, I initially launched Red Bull back in 2002, 2003. I was part of the launch team in the U.S. to bring that brand coverage and educate folks that this whole new energy market is around. And then I got into finance, but I knew that it wasn't making me excited, right? So you wake up every day and you may do something, and this happens to a lot of people around the world, is that they're in the right job or they're not in the right job, or they have the capacity to do the job, but they're not happy about doing the job. They don't have the passion for the job. that's how I felt with finance. I did not feel like it was rewarding enough for me. And at the time I was fishing for other opportunities, and I really wasn't looking at medicine. I mean, college kids, none of us really know what we're going to do. You're more focused on, how to meet great women and make good friends and go out to the best parties. Right. So as this transition in life takes place, I dabbled in the finance world. I understand it. I did well with it. I have an economics background. And I just knew that oncology and cancer at that time was the fastest science. The biggest innovation was taking place in the oncology field. And I had such a huge interest in solving problems. And I knew that cancer was becoming a massive, problem across the world. And how do you look at innovation and technologies to get through that? So I took the big leap, and I literally relocated. Within 24 hours, I had to make a decision if I was going to do this opportunity that was brought upon me. And I said yes. And I picked up and moved, left Maryland and went right up to Princeton, New Jersey, and then soon right into New York City, and then did the commute out to Princeton for 7-8 years and built out what is now one of the largest oncology portfolios in the world. And they are now the largest privately held medical media company in the world. So it was a good experience for sure.
So, and how many publications in all? Because I listed 3, but I think there's significantly more than that.
Yeah, I built over 8 in total. Publications for fellows going through their residency program, oncology nurses, peer-reviewed journals in oncology for med-onc, hem-onc, radiation-onc, et cetera, community-based oncologist, and then did the same thing in cardiology, actually with the American College of Cardiology. 2 partners and myself collaborated to build out CardioSource World News and CardioSource Interventional News, which hit every general cardiologist and interventional cardiologist in the United States. So I've always been in the publishing side, but really on the communications and marketing side, because big pharma and biotech would contract with companies like us to build out their strategy for their sales force, for their conferences, for their non-personal marketing strategies, their digital marketing. So the publication was just kind of an anchor, but it was all these different tentacles of non-personal communication that we would build out. And I've worked with every pharma company there is out there.
You've got this great platform providing value to the oncologists and other medical people. You also have access to the cutting edge information. At some point, you start thinking that the U.S. healthcare system is not working the way that maybe you think it should, or maybe the way that a whole lot of people think it should. What is that? When do you start kind of mulling that together, and that starts setting the foundation for where you are now?
2012. I know it very well.
Boom.
There was a documentary that you may know of, and I'm sure some that are listening would certainly know of, called Forks Over Knives. It was on Netflix for a while. They did a second edition as well. And a great clinician named Dr. Esselstyn was the spearheader of one of the largest studies in the world, if not the largest, around nutrition and heart disease. He also collaborated with a Chinese doctor, cardiologist, to take the study and expand it into the Chinese market as well. And that's where they produced this great documentary called Forks Over Knives. I watched the docu. I reached out to Dr. Esselstyn, and he called me. I was in Sicily at the time on another project randomly. And I was shocked by his phone call. And I said, look, I love your work. And I'm part of the American College of Cardiology. We contract with them. And I think I'd like to bring some of this work forward to them. I'll be back next week in DC, and I want to present this opportunity. And he was super excited. I was excited. I felt, good about the work and the research he had done. I sit in this boardroom at a very prestigious building in DC, and I present this opportunity. And I said, look, this is a study done around just a healthy whole food plant diet with a little bit of meat can reduce health issues with heart and cardiovascular disease tenfold. Why aren't we publishing this in JACC, the most prestigious journal out there in the world of cardiovascular, and a top 5 clinical journal in the world? I'm like, why are we not looking at these types of things? And I was a little naive at the time, I guess, but I saw a whole room filled with prestigious doctors and executives kind of chuckle at me. And I said, what? And it's like, Sean, you don't understand. Do you see these walls in this beautiful office we're in this beautiful conference room? and that huge endowment we have in the bank account, who do you think pays for this? And it was a rhetorical question, but the answer is Big Pharma, right? We can't publish something like this when our biggest financiers are the big medications and prescription drugs out there. And that was when I had a rude awakening. I realized that it's not always at the best interest of the individual and the patient. And that broke me, because as I progressed in healthcare over the next decade from 2012, I really started to pay attention with what was going on. And we are the most overprescribed nation by far in the world.
All right, so we've just switched locations because Sean needed to make a move. At position number 2, you were just talking about, one, being in a room full of physicians who are like, wait, we can't actually publish things that are really of value, so certainly that much value. Why don't you pick up from there?
Yeah, and you know, it just, a light bulb went off, and I started to see what was happening around the country, and healthcare costs continue to rise. The real people in control, which I always thought was pharma, is actually not the case. It's big bad payers. It's commercial payers like United, Aetna, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Cigna. If I asked you, Chris, how much do you think United Healthcare did in revenue last year? Just throw me out a number of what you think they did in revenue.
I mean, the first number that came was 10, and I was like, it's probably more than that, 100 billion. I don't know.
3.5 times that, 325 billion, 25 billion more than Apple did globally as a company. Okay. That's one US commercial payer. My point to this is that there's no value in them investing in you, because it's a game of hot potato. Who is going to get stuck with you when you are diagnosed with stage 4 or late stage anything, right? And so the system is set up for failure when we look at preventative care, proactive healthcare, and precision medicine. And so I started noticing this over the years, and what was really making me mad is how much marketing goes into hitting the consumer. And we're one of 2 countries in the entire world where we can even do that. You are not allowed to market and run commercials and ads and in social media or digital website type of things to the consumer when it comes to prescription meds. And in the United States, you can. Turn on any channel, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News, CNN, and what do you see on the commercial breaks? It's like 80% of the ads right now are healthcare related. That's a problem, right? So I started to see that the nation was hopped up on prescription meds. My friends started dying. They were dying because they're taking concoctions of Xanax or Oxycontin, and then they're taking a sleeping pill, and they're drinking, and their heart shuts down, or they pass away for reasons because they thought it was safe because it's a pharmaceutical. This is still going on today, and it's actually worse now than ever before. And so I started to get frustrated with the healthcare system. I do think there's a home for prescription meds at certain situations, but our system is set up where it's just like, write a script. Why don't we try A, B, C, D, E, F, G? And if all of those fail for that patient, maybe then you put them on the prescription. And that is just not the case anymore. So it's been very frustrating for me. And that really, over the last 12 years, I've seen a lot. Like I said, I've lost friends, and I want to see a change. The system cannot continue to go in this way any longer.
Yeah. So, I've often felt, I remember actually I was having some calf problems. My mom was working at an orthopedic surgery center, and I was like, who should I see? When she was like, you should see this one because he'll push off surgery the longest. Right. Like that's the better doctor is the one who doesn't do the traditional things, whether it's a script or a procedure or surgery or whatever. I
got one more for you on that, Chris. Yeah. I was out in Vegas at a medical conference. It's the largest orthopedic conference in the country, if not the world. I was out with a bunch of spine surgeons and well-known, knee surgeons, et cetera, and, get a few drinks in people. They open up a little bit. And I decided to be a little bullish and ask a pretty challenging question to them that I was hoping they would give me the real answer, and they did. And I said, how many surgeries do you give that don't really need to take place, but you do it anyways because you want the revenue? And they said about half.
Wow.
And if you think about that, right, these doctors own the surgery centers, these outpatient facilities, those are owned by clinicians. they're motivated to do surgery. That's how they make the revenue and the billings and the reimbursement. So if they think it may help, but it's not really going to be impactful to you enough to do the surgery, they still do it. So like it's a really messed up situation that I see in this country, and everything is about money. It's turned into money, 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 money. And then the mass consolidation of the healthcare systems, the private clinics, the urgent cares, there's a mass roll up taking place. And as that continues to happen, who loses when you have private equity funds and LPs that are backing these purchases? They're just looking at bottom lines and how to flip and make the multiplier. So who suffers in that situation? It's the patient. Yep. The patient suffers, right? It's no longer about patient care. It's about how can we get the revenue and the EBITDA to then flip this in 4 to 5 years and satisfy our investors.
So absolutely. You mentioned hot potato. I've seen you talk about this because I think it's really more impactful than we've mentioned in this conversation. Talk about this hot potato and how they're just hoping they don't end with the hot potato.
I gave a perfect analogy to this that may resonate with most listeners. When you leave your job or you get a new job, do you have to change your bank accounts? Do you have to change your investment accounts at Morgan Stanley or Merrill Lynch or UBS? Do you have to change your car insurance? No, I've had the same car insurance, State Farm, since 1998. But your healthcare changes. It makes no sense. So the game of hot potato is that the average American over the course of 20 years probably has 5 to 7 different healthcare plans, right? So there's no value for the insurance company to invest in you, like on good behavior, you're overall healthy, you very rarely go to the doctor. None of that comes into play. I'm 41. The other 41-year-old going after the same insurance under a same employer, has the same coverage and the same fees, but yet I have never gone to the doctor in the last 6-7 years, and this person's in the doctor every month. Why is the system built that way? If there was preventative and proactive healthcare, which is, hey, let's run regular screening on people. Let's do a full body cancer screen every year. Let's do, preventative measures, mitochondrial testing, epigenetic testing, any of these, metabolomic testing, blood work to understand what's going on in the person, then treat preventatively, we can save all those chronic conditions and all those huge healthcare costs of people becoming ill and being diagnosed in late stage something, whether it's diabetes, heart disease, cancer, with just being preventative. But the insurance companies have no intrinsic value to do that because it's a crapshoot. It's like, hey, likely Sean's not going to be with me, next year. I'm in with Blue Cross Blue Shield, our company. We're moving into United starting October 1. So it's like everybody moves into a new healthcare plan. So everything we did at Blue Cross is null and void. It doesn't matter. So that's the situation. And that's where the frustrating structure of our healthcare system lies. And we are the most expensive healthcare costs in the world. And we're ranked like in the 30s on patient outcomes. And that's a major issue. And healthcare costs continue to rise and high deductible plans continue to rise.
So in your example, you're not going to be with Blue Cross anymore. And if Blue Cross was being proactive and doing lots of proactive testing and having people currently doctors, one of the challenges, they've got 15 minutes with you. How are they going to convince you to change your diet or go get exercise? Like they slide you a piece of paper that you throw away. And most people are just wired to like, I want the pill anyway. You really do need people sitting down and spending a lot more time. If they did that investment because you're about to move to United is actually the one who gets the benefit of that invested dollar, right?
That's right. So that's why they don't want to do it, right? Why would they invest in preventative care if you're going to potentially be somewhere else soon? And I think that's the challenge with the system is that healthcare should not follow you based on where you work. That has to change because I think the payers would be more in tune with investing back in you as the patient if there's some loyalty, brand loyalty, right? Like if I want to choose United, I should want to be with United regardless of where I work. And I should be able to still make my plan and make payments through my payroll or whatever. And that's not the case. So I don't blame United. From a business decision, I would not invest in my current patients if I know that a year from now, on average, 40 or 50% of them are going to be on another healthcare plan that's not United, right? So I think that's the flaw. And I don't know how to fix that, but I do know that it is fixable.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm going to spend my time with this company knowing that my stock is going to end up in somebody else's pocket.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to spend my time there because then they get the benefit of my time.
That's right.
All right, I want to change gears a little bit. I interviewed Dr. Emil Patel, who I believe is your lead scientist on MeScreen, and I interviewed him back on April 5th. Talk about the MeScreen platform and potentially any updates since I interviewed Dr. Patel, which was, again, back on April 5th.
Yeah, lots of updates. I mean, look, when you're launching something as revolutionary as we are, this is a lot of work. And I don't think people realize how groundbreaking the research is that we have done. And then to take that from a lab into a commercialization business, it's a lot, right? And so, everything always takes longer than you expect in anything in life, right? So you always got to double the time of what you think you're gonna be in launch mode. We have made some massive, massive strides. Think of MeScreen as a before and after bullshit detector, for lack of a better phrase. And Dr. Patel does this all the time. It's a bullshit detector. Right? And what that means is we are the first to look at mitochondria structure, function, and efficiency testing and be able to bring that to the masses, right? There's testing that you can do out there, but it's a punch biopsy through the thigh. It's for research purposes. It's thousands of dollars.
By the way, you threw out punch biopsy through the thigh pretty nonchalantly. Yeah. So this is a core sample, right? From, I'm based in Houston, so oil and gas. This is basically taking a reasonably large size needle, plunging it into your muscle so that you can extract muscle tissue. And from that, whatever they do after that, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're in so much pain.
They've just pulled meat out of your muscle.
That's exactly correct. So, Dr. Patel and his team have worked, he's 23 years plus running that lab at UCSD. He's an amazing talent, amazing scientist, and one of the world's leaders in microbiology looking at cells and mitochondria. And so we have figured out a way to reverse engineer that process to bring it to everybody as a before and after measurement. So let me give you an example. If you're going to go to a doctor and they're going to put you on a new therapeutic, or if they're going to go to a doctor and they're going to put you off a therapeutic, they're going to get you on a new diet, you're going to stop drinking, you're going to do stem cell treatment, you're going to get on peptides, whatever it is that you do in your life, our mitochondrial assessment gives you a baseline measurement looking at the 12 core functions of your cells within mitochondria. And then you want to measure yourself 90 days, 120 days, 180 days later to see if there's any physiological impact or optimization of your cellular function. Because if you're investing on a $20,000 stem cell treatment plan, don't you want to know that you're seeing some sort of profound impact down at the cellular level in your body? So we call it the bullshit detector because we can also do that for companies. So if you're a supplement company, you're a regenerative medicine company, you're a med device, whether it's radiotherapy, cryotherapy, magnetic therapy, you are a therapeutic, we can look at before and after testing for you on patient outcome studies and get that submitted and published potentially to say, look, when using my vitamin C product, we show 80% of people using it every day over 30 days shows a X percentage of spike in cellular function, right? So that is a huge tool that we did not realize when you asked the question around April. We were not looking at B2B companies that wanted to use us for research purposes. Mm-hmm. That started happening when we were at conferences at our booth. Other companies that were also exhibiting at those shows were coming up to us, asking us if we could do a study for them. And it just so happens that's a lot of our background. A lot of us have been in the clinical research and medical communications and medical publishing for a long time, so we understand studies. And so it made sense for us to start this, and we've been really successful at getting companies in to help their business. We're helping validate what they're doing for a fraction of the cost of what it would be for them to do a PK study or a PK/PD study. Instead of spending millions of dollars through an FDA-regulated study, we can work with these companies to do studies between $10,000 and $100,000. Mm. So it's a big difference, and it's already showing that the demand is there. So that is, I would say, the largest change since April when you did an interview with Hemel. The other one is that we've decided that we're going to launch direct to consumer. We're going to bring this test directly to the consumer without relying solely on the functional medicine doc, the naturopathic doc, the med spa. We're still going to work with those groups. But we also want to work with influencers and affiliates that have direct relationships with their patients or their consumers to educate them around this test and get access to it. Just like you would with 23andMe or Ancestry.com or Everlywell. You get a test sent to your house. It's a very simple process to run the test. It's got a return label. It ships to our lab. A week or two later, you schedule a clinical consult. You get on one of our clinicians, and they're going to walk you through your results and recommendations of pathways to help elevate your cellular function. Or if your cells are great and you're energized and everything's great, okay, well then maybe we check in back a year later and run it as like you would a physical.
Hey, super quick break from the podcast. Hopefully you're loving it. This is a way you can support the podcast and take advantage of a great offer. We're offering 50% off of one of our MCT bottles. MCT is an amazing oil. Add the ESS60 molecule to it. It's even more amazing. All you got to do is leave a review on iTunes, send us a notification that you've left that review. We'll get you a coupon code that'll get you 50% off of our MCT oil and free shipping. Back to the podcast.
You want to go back and listen to the podcast that I did with Dr. Patel because the technology is pretty amazing. I want to just briefly summarize it here because I think it's worth doing as you're thinking, as this podcast is going out to consumers and you're saying, hey, we want to get to consumers. What is this test? So you have mitochondria in every one of your cells between 50 and 5,000. Actually, there's a lot more in brain cells and there are a lot more in nerve cells, but you don't have any in blood cells, right? So there's no mitochondria. So how do you take a blood sample and say what is going on with the mitochondria? That is the magic of this particular technology. And what you do is you take that blood sample and you put it around other cells that have mitochondrial function and you watch what those mitochondria do. That's an amazing concept. NASA is, I think, the first group that Dr. Patel put this together for. So we're talking about NASA technology. This is an amazing platform, and I love the concept of a bullshit detector. It's like, hey, go try this particular modality, whether it's fitness related, nutrition related, supplement related, whatever, and then come back and do that second test and understand what impact it's having on your mitochondria.
Well, Chris, even to add to that, just think about it. This whole new biohacking movement is exciting. I'm very excited. I'm very bullish on the optimistic side of where healthcare is going. I think people are smartening up and they understand that they want to live a longer, better, healthier life. Even if they have chronic illness, whether it's neurodegenerative, cancer, diabetes, they want to wake up and feel good every day. Okay? So this movement is happening. But the issue that I have in the nutraceutical space and a lot of the biohacking space, I go to these conferences and look, I bash Western medicine and I don't believe in a lot of what happens there. But at the same time, I also think that a lot of Western medicine protocols should be moved into this space. And that's where our test comes into place. Like, don't you as a consumer want to know that $100 a month you're spending on a supplement or an NAD treatment or a peptide treatment is actually relevant to your body? We're not all the same. So we don't all need magnesium or vitamin C or vitamin D12 or iron or all of these things that people take. I take a concoction of 5 supplements and I'm like, I'm just kind of crapshooting. I don't even know if my body needs that. Our test allows you to understand that maybe sometimes you're over supplementing, or maybe that you have a structure issue with your cells. So everything you're doing has zero impact because we have to fix the structure issue first, right? So it gives you a very precise outlook of your overall health and wellness because mitochondria is the equivalent of energy in the body. And through that and looking at the 12 core functions of mitochondria, we can determine a lot of information on you. And it's information you're not getting. And I want to be clear on this. This is very important. I'm not taking away for the value of blood work or the value of other types of tests out there, whether it's epigenetic or metabolomics and microbiome. These are all great things. We're giving you a piece of the pie that you're not getting from any of those other things. And from that data set, combined with other pieces of information, we're giving you a holistic snapshot of your health and wellness and allows you to give a treatment pathway that hopefully elevates your cellular function and your energy. Look at how many companies out there are claiming enhanced cellular function, enhanced mitochondria. There's a bunch of mitochondria products on the market. Chris, that's like me giving you a cholesterol drug, but not having a baseline of what your cholesterol is.
Yeah.
Right.
Or that core study behind it, right? That's published, that has scientific integrity, and that's one of the things that you're doing. I'm excited. The reason that we got together is Ways to Well, a well-known kind of functional medicine kind of treatment company. I think they are on Joe Rogan regularly. Is doing a project really with our project and with you guys. So I'm really excited about that. Why do you think mitochondria is gaining so much attention right now? Like, it really feels like it's exploding. Do you have any kind of insight there?
Yeah, it's I talk about that a lot with everyone, is that we're in the right place, right time. And with any new launch of innovation in any industry, there's a lot of things that have to align. And for us, the industry, if we did this 5 years ago, it would have flopped, right? The industry was not ready for this. Biohacking and the movement, this is all taking place now. I mean, something as easy as cold plunge. 5 years ago, nobody did cold plunge. No one, there wasn't even manufacturers selling cold plunge devices, right? So, you look at this and you say, okay, well, finally, mitochondria and cellular health is becoming on the map. We have a movement across the world of longevity clinics opening up, functional medicine doctors opening up, leaving Western medicine into this functional medicine space, the naturopathic space. You have things like Eastern medicine, massage, acupuncture, meditation. What Dr. Dispenza and Joe is doing is unbelievable. I mean, 1 out of every 2 people you talk to in this world now knows who Joe Dispenza is in meditation. That's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But you want to validate all this, right? And so the science is also going to play a role into this movement. Plant medicine. People are doing more ayahuasca now than ever before. It's 5 times itself in the last 4 years of people going to the Amazon or whatnot to do this. Dietas, like just eating raw plant out of the jungle, right? These are things that people are doing to elevate their health and reflect on mind, body, and spirit. And I think that's the 3 core things, right? It's mental health as well that we're looking at here. There's a movement. We live in a very stressed world right now, especially in America. Okay, I've been to 101 countries. I see how we are in America versus other countries. We stress ourselves out. Money is the religion in America, right? That's the new religion. It's not Catholicism or Christianity. It's money. And so you look at that and you say, well, what are we going to do about this? We live in an overstimulated world. We have devices everywhere. My device is going off over here while I'm on the podcast with you. I got to rush to a plane right after this. You go to a city, it's lights, and you can't even see the stars in the universe because there's light pollution. We're just absorbing so much, right? And I think that is wearing people down, and people want to go back to that natural state of Zen and feeling bliss and feeling good and waking up and not feeling tired and mentally stressed and anxious. And people want to get healthy again. So you're right. The movement is right now. And I firmly believe now with AI taking place and that movement, wearable technologies coupled with AI, along with these types of diagnostic screenings like gut health and microbiome and epigenetics and genetic and blood work and MeScreen, that's going to give you the best snapshot 365 days a year, 24/7 of your overall health and wellness. Primary care doctors are going to go away. You don't need a primary care doctor. Now, you do need specialists, right? Because the wearables and the AI are going to look at you and say, oh, you know what? You're trending down on your sugar levels, or you're trending down on your heart. You really need to go see a general cardiologist immediately, right? You go to a primary care doctor right now and get a physical. Do you know how ridiculous that is? They still knock on your knee to see if your leg moves. That's from 100 years ago. Like, what are you talking about? Wear an Oura ring. Look at your overall health and wellness 24 hours a day and monitor that. And now AI is going to come in and help that happen to give you real-time data sets. Our test fills that third part of the triangle. It's AI, it's wearables, and it's regular diagnostic and preventative screening. Those combined are the full picture of what's going to happen in the future of healthcare.
So they're like what just popped into my head. I always think about technology and business. You have to have had conversations of how do we get this MeScreen test onto an Oura ring? Like, is that a no go, or is that that's going to be way down the road kind of go?
We'd be a piece of it, right? So if you're on the ring, you're right. We would our tech, our data set would be another piece of data that would be aggregated as long as you're taking the test. But that's the whole goal here, right? Is how do we take everything on you and give you before and after? Like right now, I've got my blood work done I mean, all of us got our blood work done a million times. I don't know where all my blood work results are. Like if I want to look at blood work I got done 6 years ago in New York and now I'm in Florida, I don't even know where to pull that data. Yeah. Right? There's no central house for all of that. But that's important data.
Yeah.
I want to see trends. I want to see what's going on. If I could log into one dashboard and see what's going on with my sleep, with my energy profile, which is us, with MeScreen, with my blood work and cholesterol levels and all the things that blood work look at, testosterone, my hormones. I want to look at all of it. And I totally agree with you that the only way moving forward is this approach where everything is embedded and API'd into each other, right? So if you're wearing an Oura Ring, can you pull in your regular diagnostic screenings that you're getting, your blood work, your gut health and microbiome, your MeScreen? I think that's the future. I really do.
And that data aggregation company is it's probably be Facebook.
That's right.
So I just saw a press release about your research validator, having looked at 60 FDA approved compounds. Talk about that MeScreen a little bit more, and then that research validator.
Yeah, so I'm the lead scientific guy on our entire team. We have an amazing team of MDs, PhDs, business folks that understand science. And so I explain it a little differently than Dr. Patel would, but here's how I explain it in layman's terms. Right now, when we talk about precision medicine, okay, what does that mean to some people? They don't fully understand what that is. Precision medicine is Chris and Sean and every other listener, we're all different. If we all drink 10 beers right now, the same beer together, it's all going to impact us differently. If we all took ecstasy right now, if we all took an allergy pill right now, if we all went on a therapeutic, it impacts us differently, okay? We're not all the same. And that is broken down all the way down to the cellular level. The precision medicine VCX discovery platform that we've created out of UC San Diego and why we're feeding all these probes into our system. What a probe is, it's just a vial, an FDA-approved compound. Every drug on the market is a molecule. That's just what it is. It's a molecule. We've purchased that portfolio of molecules, the FDA portfolio. There's over 10,000 compounds. We're taking those and we're screening and running them through our machine learning system at the university. Why that's important, okay, is that for the first time, we feel that our screening process will allow you as an individual, think of it like a human in a dish. I can extract your cells in a dish, Petri dish, and I can run it through that machine learning system. If the doctor says, hey, Chris, listen, you're suffering from chronic migraine. There's about 6 or 7 products out there that would work. I'm gonna start with this one. Let's see if this one works for you, and then we'll check in 3 months. How does the doctor make the decision which medication you get? Do you know right now what the process is? I'll tell you what the process is. Hey, maybe that cute rep from Allergan comes in every week and she's really great. And so maybe I'll start with her product. Or this one's covered under the insurance better, right? So we have to write this one, which happens quite a bit, right? Because the way it's tiered. Our system would allow you to say, hey, Chris, let's take your cells. Let's run them through the machine learning system, and let's see which of the migraine products that have been FDA approved show the best cellular optimization for you as an individual. And if we get that data set for you, and it classifies the drugs in order of what we think would be the most relevant for you to start on first, I just saved you a year and a half of trial and erroring 5 or 6 meds that may not even work for you, right? Yeah. So that's precision medicine. That's personalized medicine. How can we treat the individual based on data sets that are relevant to the individual? We're not all the same. Drugs get approved on the market. People, when I say this to them, they're like blown away that aren't in healthcare. Some drugs get approved with 30 or 40% effectiveness. That means there's 60% of people that drug is not going to work for, and it's still an FDA-approved drug, especially in some of these like cancers and rare cancer stuff. And I get it. You still have to have that opportunity, but there's 60 or 70% of people that's not working for. How do we look at the individual and figure out what works for them?
And sometimes my understanding is for those 30% that it is helping, 30, 40% that it is helping, it's helping them at the level of like a 5% improvement.
Correct.
Right. So like you're prescribing to 70 or 60% of the people that it's not going to have any effect. And for those people it actually has an effect, it's just such a minimal effect, and as long as it's not dangerous and it has some effect, then it gets marketed like it has. I mean, people think a lot of medications work like antibiotics, right? I have sickness, I take antibiotic, sickness gone, right? And I think a lot of people will take different prescription medicines thinking that's the impact, and it's not. It just has this small percentage impact.
Yeah, and then we're not even talking about all the side effects of drugs, right? I mean, you listen to these TV commercials, it's hilarious. Like they talk about the drug they show some beautiful family in the yard and the dad's playing, whatever imagery they're trying to brainwash you with, and then they smack you with, you may die, you may have diarrhea, you may have headaches, you may be fatigued, it's crazy, right? And it's like, but yet regenerative medicine, stem cells, exosomes, PRP, all these things that are having massive impact for people with no side effects. So even if it doesn't work for you, there's zero side effects to the body, are not getting cleared through the FDA. It makes no sense at all. They're super safe. You're putting human cells back into fresh human cells, healthy human cells into the body to help stimulate growth or fix a shoulder injury, a knee injury, hip, whatever. And that can't get cleared and covered by insurance. And you know what? If it doesn't work, you're not having a million side effects laying in bed, dying. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
And it's even you look at what they did with peptides, like it's even worse than that, right? Where these are the things with very low side effect profiles, a lot of positives, and then now all of a sudden, 28 of them are banned, and you're not even supposed to be able to get a hold of them.
You know what I say? A lot of people think of, again, I've been around the world, and they say, oh, that country's super corrupt. I go, what are you talking about? I go, what country do you think is one of the most corrupt? America. We just legalized it. It's called lobbying. Okay? Mm-hmm. Why do you think Congress and House and Senate are in office Congress and legislation are in office for 30, 40, 50 years sometimes? Why do you think those people don't leave? Because they're tied into the companies and they all have incentives to stick to the policy that needs to be favorable to the companies, right? Pharma is in DC lobbying every single day. Same with oil and gas and other industries, tech, like they're all there, but it's legalized corruption. Okay. How come every politician is worth millions of dollars, but makes $180,000 salaries? I would love to have $30 million in the bank at $180,000 salary. Tell me how that works.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's because there's lobbying that goes on and the politicians stay in their seats as long as they can. There's no term on Congress, and that's an issue, right? Because they're the ones keeping legislation in place that's favorable to a lot of these companies. So my whole take on this is you're trying to break through a very difficult door when you have this infrastructure that's been locked and loaded for 50, 60, 70 years, and they don't want these things coming out. Just diet alone. You could just change your diet and your whole health changes. But no one wants that. No, we want all the Band-Aid medicines. We don't want to look at the root cause of the problem. We just want to treat all the symptoms and issues you have and put Band-Aids on everything.
Yeah, I know probably about 6 months ago, I started cooking my own meals. My wife is an amazing cook, and we have somebody who will cook for our kids a couple days a week. And I was just like, those aren't the meals that I should be eating. And so, but it took me a long time to make the decision to start cooking my own meals, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I don't want to do that, right? But for my health, I do want to do that.
Hey, any beautiful women out there that are really good cooks, let me know, because I don't know how to cook, but I love eating at home. There's nothing better. I feel better. It's a better experience, eating out and the whole food. We can get into the whole food industry, but that's a disaster too, right? Because of legislation and lobbying and processed foods, and organic is really bullshit. All these things are happening. So you got diet combined with lifestyle, which is a tough lifestyle we live in. People are stressed. People are anxious. We live in a hard world now. People are living in debt. Everything's expensive. People are working their asses off. And then you have all that coupled with therapeutics and these prescription drugs. I mean, some people are on 5, 6, 7, 8 medications a day, right? They're losing their minds. They're not healthy. So we have to figure out how to look at mind, body, and spirit. And I'm really keen on that, right? Because I firmly believe that mind, body, spirit, all three of those things have to be healthy to have your overall health and wellness in check. And we a lot of times we only look at the physicality of things. Oh, I'm taking this med because it's reducing my gout. Yeah, but if it's destroying your brain and you feel like shit and you're stressed and depressed, you just traded one for the other, right? So we need to look at the whole picture.
Yeah. All right. So we've talked a little bit about policy-based medicine. You talk about evidence-based health and wellness. How do you see us getting from here to there?
I think just bridging the gap between the biohacking and longevity space and health and wellness space in Western medicine. We have to meet in the middle. And that's why I love the research side. Like, I want to show that things are actually working for the individual, right? I want to know that if you're on a treatment plan, that you're taking supplement X, Y, and Z, and you're doing peptides and you're changed your diet. I want you to know that that's showing like a profound impact on you, right? And so I believe that researching products, I think companies in this space need to invest in that, right? The problem is, like, we're a country filled with good marketing, right? The best products that sell out there in health and wellness are the best marketed ones, not the best actual products. And that's my fear in this space, is that the nutraceutical space has been unregulated for a long time. You don't really know what you're getting, right? You don't really know the pill that you're taking. You're just trusting that it's legit, but how do you know it's even absorbing into the blood? How do you know it's getting into your system and actually doing something for you? So I just feel like there needs to be a little bit of change. I'm anti-prescriptions. I don't take anything unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah.
But I am very, very keen on also being a skeptic on a lot of these products that are hitting the market that claim all these things. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I mean, some of these, you go for A4M, the Anti-Aging Association, 10 years ago, it was really kooky. I think it's gotten a lot better, but there's still a lot of stuff out there that I think needs to be legitimized a little bit. And I think we can help bridge that gap, and we can do it in a cost-effective way, right? And I think that's where we work with companies within their budgets to get some sort of data sets out for them so they can start to understand their product and how it's having an impact on their patients. So that's, Chris, I think that's the future, right? Is Western medicine and this whole new wave of health and wellness kind of meeting in the middle a little bit as to where we can go to better the lives of everyone, right? And this movement's not a US thing. This is happening worldwide.
You've got three divisions, right? I think there's a diagnostics division, there's a discovery division, and then there's an ophthalmics division, if I'm saying that correctly.
Strange word, I know. I call it eye care division, but yes.
Eye care division.
Yeah.
As I was actually researching for my interview with Dr. Patel, some things became clear. One was that there's a lot more mitochondria in the cones and rods in your eyes, and what was very interesting is I couldn't find the number. So the general number for your cells is 50 to 5,000, except for brain cells and nerve cells that have about 2 million, because that's how much energy they use. Is there any correlation here, like the fact that your eyes have significantly more mitochondria, and is it tied in, or how did that come about?
Maybe subconsciously I did that, but initially I will say no. We had an opportunity in the regenerative medicine space to launch and commercially distribute exclusively a product in the US that is a game changer. It's human tissue that goes into the eye and heals things like pterygium, chronic dry eye, lacerations of the cornea, abrasions of the cornea. And it's an amazing technology. It's like a wound care product that's now for the eye. So we started down that path initially. And then we had launched some diagnostics that we own the rights to as well, looking and measuring allergy in the eye and chronic dry eye. And from that, it started to connect, where our team at UCSD and Hemel and everyone said, wait a minute, there's a lot more to this on the eye that we could be looking at. So there's a lot of research, you're right, with mitochondria, but the whole body is interesting with this. It's not just the eye. Yeah. You look at the heart is 25 to 30% in any given day or any given second is filled with mitochondria and energy, right? So it's a very exciting time for us, but there is cross-pollination. There is a rhyme and a reason of why we have the three divisions. You look at the 3P principle model. Anything we do across our discovery division, which is where MeScreen and the research validator stuff is, diagnostics, which is our consumer health line that's in 7-Elevens and adult novelty stores and smoke and vape shops, et cetera. And then you have a professional line that's in urgent cares and hospitals and pediatricians. And then our eye care has products that go into the medical optometrist and the ophthalmologist and surgeons that are dealing in the cornea, the frontal eye. When you look at all of those channels, it's the same principles as a company that we believe in, which is preventative care. How can you be preventative with regular diagnostics and regular screening? It's proactive healthcare. How can you take your health, your hands? And that's a very important line. Your health, your hands. Own your damn health and wellness. Stop relying on the system. The system is not set up to help prevent issues from taking place with you. It's set up as a reactive system. Okay? It's too late. I just lost a friend. I was with a close friend of mine yesterday. Her brother died at 39 of colorectal cancer. Do you know that insurance doesn't even run colorectal screenings until 50, and they just recently brought it down to 45? So your insurance doesn't even cover the fact that he had this starting at 33, and it was never picked up because no insurance does that. They don't run these screens. So preventative care, proactive healthcare are so important. And then the third is back to precision medicine. And that's what we're doing here with the cellular research and mitochondria. So you look across the board of all these channels. Eye care is a great channel for us. It's a great division. Dr. Sambursky is the president of that division. We have Jim Olin, the president of diagnostics, and Steve Parada, the co-founder, is now the president of Versea Discovery. But all of these have synergistic properties. There's cross-pollination, there's cross-strategy. And our whole thing is to further the research on innovation and cutting-edge, cellular research.
Excellent. So we got preventative, proactive, and precision.
Yes.
In the next 3 to 6 months, what should we be looking for from these divisions?
Well, you're going to start to see MeScreen get out there more and more, right? We're going to start finally getting out, doing talks. Dr. Hemmel is the lead researcher for Dr. Joe Dispenza. So all the research coming out of Dispenza is actually done in the same lab that our research is done. Dr. Toby, same thing. He's the co-founder of Versea Health, and Dr. Toby, who's an MD, and Dr. Hemmel are the two leaders for Dispenza. I think what you're going to see out of us in 6 months is you're going to see massive research collaborations. We're talking with the largest, most credible institutes in the world, right? These are big institutions that have reached out to us and contacted us to use our test, looking at chronic illnesses like cancer, heart disease, fertility. This is exciting stuff. Diabetes, neurodegenerative disorders with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, dementia. And so you look at where we're going. We want to disrupt research. We want to be able to help, solve problems, right? We do that through utilizing our test and part of the grants that, these companies have to further therapeutics. So we're involved in that space. So you're going to see that more and more. And then you're going to see the direct-to-consumer availability. So you're going to see this test start to be out there for everyone to have access to. Those are the big changes.
Very cool. With a focus on preventative, proactive, and precision. I think that's great.
I call it the 3 Ps.
The 3 Ps.
My life on right now.
P cubed. You didn't want to go with P cubed? All right. So I've got my wrap up questions. This is a longevity health and wellness podcast. Sean, do you have a target age that you want to live to?
I certainly do. I know that, Asprey's got his whole vision of 180 or 170. I think that's lofty. I would love to see humans be able to live 110, 120. I think we start, let's baby steps. Let's crawl before we walk, before we run here. I mean, my Nana made it to 99. She was just shy of her 100th. I just saw some famous guy a movie just came out on, he saved all those children. It's a movie that's on Delta Airlines, and it's a great movie. He saved all those children during the World War. Before the war started, he was getting them into England. He saved 3,600 children. He lived to 107. Right. So it's happening. You can live that long now, but I would like to see the masses be able to the life expectancy right now is late 70s across the world. We got to move that to the late 80s. Right. So how do we do that? But yes, 110, 120. If I can live till, 2083, 2093, that'd be pretty cool. I think the world's going to change quite a bit over the next few decades. So it'll be interesting to see the change.
Yes, it is. I love the phrase, if you're uncomfortable with the rate of change, do not worry, because the rate of change will never be slower than it is today.
That's right. Yeah. And I'll give you one thing on AI that I think everyone needs to understand is that our brain thinks linearly, right? So if I said, Chris, point in your room where 30 steps from you are. You could say that's over on the other side of the room. If I was like, Chris, point to me where 30 steps to the 100th power would be. Could you tell me where that is? Well, it's to the moon, right? And that's how AI is moving exponentially, and our brains aren't doing that. So AI, since we've been on this podcast for 50 plus minutes, AI has exponentially gotten smarter across the world.
Yeah,
faster than we have, right?
All right. So you have a target age of 110, 120. How long do you think humans can live?
I think we're going to be able to get up to the 130, 150 range. I think that can happen.
Excellent. What 2 to 3 protocols, habits, mindsets, let's call them shortcuts because everybody likes shortcuts, to longevity and a long health span would you share?
Go for walks. Walk when things are good, walk when things are bad. There's nothing better than walking. I have a goal to do 15,000 steps a day. I think everyone should get out, connecting with nature. Get out of the noise of the 21st century that we live in, that's chaos, and just connect with nature, right? I think that has so much power behind it. And then stay active. You go out and party. I go out and have fun, but you also have to balance your life out. And if you're going to have fun, get out there, stay active, work out, play tennis, do hobbies, like have fun in your life, stay energetic. And that's going to allow you to live longer and healthier. Sitting around, moping, depressed, not motivated to do anything is not going to fix the problem ever.
So you got walks, connect with nature, and really your stay active, I think, is maybe, could we call that community, like being interactive with other people?
Yeah, I mean, I feed off energy, right? So I'm a social butterfly. I love interacting with people. I love getting to know people from all over the world. I mean, for me, my big thing is travel. How do I connect with different cultures and people from different temperaments and talents and convictions? And I'm obsessed. I thought I was going to be done at 100 countries. Now my new goal has been moved to 120. So we're trying to get to 120 countries.
Awesome. And hopefully that's this. You can do one country per year that you live. What are 1 to 2 things people get absolutely wrong regarding longevity and a long health span?
Oof. I just think there's so much misinformation out there. We can't trust anything. And AI has got good things and bad things about it. And the bad thing is that you can spread a message that's completely inaccurate so fast now. So you can't trust anything. And so I think you got to look at yourself individually. There's no one solution or one pathway for anything. Everybody's different. Figure out what works for you.
Focus on the you and figuring out what works for you.
Yeah.
Excellent. How can people contact you, Sean?
Through Jillian. So Jillian is my EA. She's amazing. She's really our chief of staff and probably the best project manager I know. She can be reached at Jillian, JILLIANB as in boy, at versea.com, VERSEA.com. You can also just reach out to our main line and ask for Jillian, and then she could connect through. But she's kind of the keeper of my whole life and runs my life. She's actually my boss. It's not the opposite.
I describe it as, on the days I'm really smart, I do exactly what they tell me to do.
That's right. Yeah. I like that.
And what in the near future are you excited about?
You know, people get scared about change. I'm tired of people thinking the world is going to shit. You know, I deal this with my mom and anyone that's older. They watch too much news. And it's like, guys, just stop. You can't control everything. Live every day, wake up, and just do what works for you. Like, get out there and realize that life is there for the taking. We stress ourselves out way too much. I live super stressed and I work on it, right? And I figure out, like, what can I do to alleviate that stress? But I just think that we have to change. We have to think about and embrace the life and the world that we're in today and stop being so scared. Everyone's so scared and thinks everything's coming to an end and it's a terrible world. This is not a terrible world. This is the best time to live in the history of humans ever. We have things at our fingertips all the time. Look at all the good food we can eat, the travel, the people that you can connect with. I mean, it's just an amazing time. So embrace it.
So excited about what the future beholds. Anything in particular?
I will say I think we're going to see massive change over the next decade. I think that AI will forever change the entire trajectory of mankind.
Yeah. Which is why you have it incorporated into your company already. Like that is pretty awesome. Excellent. Sean, this has been amazing. For you in the audience, you can track Sean down, Jillian B, JILLIANB as in boy at Versea, and that's VERSEA.com. Correct me if I missed anything. You can go to the website, Versea.com. I've taken the MeScreen test. That's amazing. Make sure you check out Dr. Patel's podcast that I did with him. Sean, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. One last thing. You can also go to MeScreen.com, which is just
MeScreen.com.
Yeah, that's where you're going to get the education around what we're doing on the test. The Versea.com is the overall corporate website that you can understand a little bit more about us and our leadership.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, MeScreen.com. And again, Sean, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me. This was great. Appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Live Beyond the Norms podcast. make sure to subscribe and follow. Also, make sure not to be that guy, the guy sharing this podcast with people who are not interested in living beyond the norms. If you would like to learn more about the ESS60 molecule, the molecule responsible for the single longest longevity experimental result on mammals in history, a full 90% extension of life, visit myvitalc.com. That's myvitalc as in carbon.com.